Joining us now from the Family Council, we've got Mr. Ken Yang is back with us. Ken, welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us, Family Council obviously supported this ban on edibles.
Yes, I mean, we've, we were at the forefront, opposing Amendment or Issue 6, and it passed, and so now that everyone says, well, the people want medical marijuana, okay, well, then we'll agree to that, but let's make sure that we dispense it as medicine, and having gummy bears, having marijuana cookies, marijuana brownies, as Representative Ferguson told me, in California, where they have marijuana pizza and things of that sort. That's not medicine. And so, Representative Lundstrom had a bill to ban medical marijuana in food and drink unless in certain circumstances. So you'll hear a lot of talk about, well, you're going to ban it for everyone. What about the cancer patient that's in pain and, can't have any other type of medicine but marijuana edible? Well, in the bill, if people would actually read it, it allows for hospitals and patients and caregivers to infuse medical marijuana in food if they need it. So the cancer patient that needs medical marijuana and edible, they'll have it. But what we're banning is this corporate wholesale manufacturing of marijuana gummy bears and all those other things.
And we don't really know exactly how this is going to look. And we know how it's supposed to work. Mm-hmm. They've got, they're trying to regulate this thing, but so you go to the dispensary to get your medical marijuana after you got a note from your doctor, and the idea would be, okay, they've got brownies there to buy at the dispensary. If this bill would have passed, that's not a thing that would have been able to happen, right?
Yes, and that wouldn't happen, and you wouldn't have these large corporate outfits, bringing in, pot tarts, POT tarts, or
with like factory packaging and everything.
Yeah,
right?
Or Reese's peanut butter, packaging that looks like a Reese's peanut butter cup, but it's a marijuana laced Reese's peanut butter cup. And you see all this type of packaging in Colorado and California, and the doctors and nurses will tell you their number one cause and people coming into the emergency room is people overdosing on marijuana edibles. And so,
and are these mostly kids, Ken?
And these are mostly kids. These are kids getting in, seeing a pack of gummy bears or seeing, cookies, and people that are taking one and like, oh, well, one doesn't really do much, or two, and they just start, because the effects take a while to kick in when it comes to edibles, and so we wanted to dispense it in a safe fashion. We're already allowing smoking, but we allow tinctures and oils and droplets and pills and capsules, to go even further, suppositories. We allow so many ways to dispense marijuana that even most states don't allow.
Wow. I had no idea. If you think about what a kid understands pretty early, is that candy and sugar is a good, it's like their number one thing that they like. So it's obvious, and you go back all the way to where they had to ban candy cigarettes, because it was just that wasn't actually nicotine. That was just, hey, we don't want to encourage kids to smoke when they're older.
That's
so
right.
The underlying principle here is the same, though.
Yes, and what's frustrating is you hear representatives that voted no against this and say, well, you have to be a responsible parent. Well, that's great and everything, but the representatives were elected to protect our children, to protect Arkansans from bad things. And over 80 legislators came out against medical marijuana back during the election. But yet we were only able to get 52 votes yesterday. We needed 67. And it's just unbelievable, this excuse after excuse of the people voted for it, or you're going to cause the cancer patient to suffer, and the list of things that are just untrue.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'm sympathetic to the argument, hey, this is what the people voted for, to an extent. Mm-hmm. But obviously, I feel like when we're talking about medical, and this was my biggest problem with the amendment to begin with, is that we weren't really talking about medical marijuana because it can't go through a pharmacy because of the way the federal government classifies the drug. It's really complicated. So it wasn't, and I think a lot of people maybe didn't even know that. They maybe thought, well, yeah, we want the sympathy, we want the cancer patient to be able to get what, but this is, we know that medical marijuana, in the instance the only way that you can have it opens the door really wide for recreational marijuana.
Yes.
So to me, it would be common sense just to say, all right, maybe, and I'm a liberty guy, but in the context of medical marijuana, in a brownie or gummy bears, okay, that's not medical. That's no longer medicine.
That's not medicine. And if we're going to try to call it medicine, then we dispense it as medicine. And then, Representative Lundstrom said, and then if this becomes too strict, we can always come back and move forward. But as well as I do, this place works in the way that if you move forward now, you're not going to move backward. They're not going to come back and ban edibles once it's legal.
No. And because the marijuana people now have a lobby. I mean, because now that it's legal, we're going to have marijuana money making sure things get more broader, more liberal, not more conservative.
You see people change their tune, saying that they're against medical marijuana, the campaign trail, saying they're against medical marijuana when they're running for office, and all of a sudden, when it comes to voting to ban edibles, they decided either not to vote or they voted no. And you have I would encourage especially your Northeast Arkansas audience to, contact Representative Gazaway, Representative Kavanaugh, Representative Gray, Representative Rye, Representative Fortner, who all voted no on this really good banning of edible marijuana bills. And these are people that are supposed to be, for the people. Let's dispense marijuana as medicine. But dispensing it as cookies and brownies is not medicine.
That's very interesting. Are you amazed? And we're talking with Ken Yang, and he works for the Family Counsil, and they push very socially conservative legislation that I'm supportive of. Generally speaking, it's just interesting to me. We have massive Republican majorities, 76, and you would think the low-hanging fruit. I consider social issues for most Republicans low-hanging fruit. In my line of work, when we start talking about tax policy, then everybody has an opinion. I just feel like a lot of the stuff, I feel like maybe we've taken for granted a lot of the stuff we assume we all agree on. What do you think?
I think you're right. I think it's become, people think it's second nature, and look, we've already dealt with that issue. Let's move on. And in this case, the people voted for it, so move on, Ken, move on, Family Counsil. But it gets to the point where if we don't regulate, it's going to be a disaster. And it's going to be a disaster for our children, for grandchildren, and we've already seen it in places like Colorado and California. And so, for people to turn a blind eye. Are we sympathetic to the cancer patients, to the kid with epilepsy? Yes. But we're not preventing them from getting medical marijuana. We're not preventing them from getting oils. We're not preventing them from getting edibles. We're preventing this mass wholesale of edible marijuana that's not medicine.
Yeah. I can't believe it didn't pass. I really can't. It's pretty. It's just a really. I talked to a solid conservative senator earlier who will remain unnamed. He said this has been he said I thought it was going to be so different. He said this has been the craziest session I've ever been a part of. I mean, and a lot of people didn't expect that coming in.
Yeah, I mean it's you have to. We all Republicans, and I'm a Republican. I ran for office as a Republican, and I always told people you don't get to pick and choose what part of the platform that you want to run on. There's a Republican platform. Are there maybe one or two things that you might not believe in? Yeah, that happens. But for the most part, if I run on the Republican platform, two people should oppose raising taxes. But we might differ on how we should lower taxes, but we should be opposed to raising taxes. And it should be the same thing with anything else when it comes to pro-life issues. Some people believe in exceptions, some people don't, but they're still pro-life. Those are types of differences, I think, that are okay within the Republican Party. But when you have Republicans that, are one's for traditional marriage and the other one is said, the Supreme Court's already ruled on it, so I'm going to leave my principles, throw my principles away just because the Supreme Court ruled on it?
Yeah, and I'll see you one, or I'll raise you, the bathroom bill's not an issue, but, we don't want the economic consequences that North Carolina faced.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like that's a thing too.
So it's amazing the excuses that keep coming up, and when you're a principled conservative, it should be second nature to pass a privacy bill to say, well, I want to protect children. It should be second nature to say, hey, I want to dispense marijuana as medicine to also protect our children. It should be second nature to say, hey, I want to protect the conscience of healthcare providers here in Arkansas to not have to do things against their conscience. But these are all things that are failing in this building right now.
Yeah. I saw. We haven't really talked about that conscience law, but I can't believe that one failed.
And I believe Representative Smith's going to take one more stab at it in committee this afternoon or evening.
Yeah. Well, I know the committees are going to be meeting late tonight. It's
Yep.
going to be a very late night, so we'll certainly be watching. Mr. Ken Yang, we appreciate you coming by, sir, as always.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All righty, folks.